And the most important part about that is getting clarity first, because if you just try to communicate from a place of frustration and stress and confusion, it's not going to come out clearly and they're not going to receive it clearly. And yes, these are difficult conversations, but without the difficult conversations, nothing's going to change. When people say, you know, the relationship has to be saved no matter what, you got to think about what is that relationship about? And it kind of goes back to that question of what are you committed to?
Welcome to yourbrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. And today the topic is what to do if you're struggling in your relationship. Do you keep working on it and hoping for the best? Or do you consider leaving? Now, most of us don't let go of a relationship lightly. I mean, it's love after all. It's what we've worked so hard for. And we all know relationships go through tough times. And we all know couples who've managed to turn things around and restore the love. So there must be something we can do. Maybe we need to work harder. Maybe we need to spice things up. But surely the answer isn't leaving. To help us navigate this difficult question, we've invited Catherine Dietz onto the show. Catherine is a certified Heal Your Life coach and creator of the Healthy Path program, a step-by-step process that helps women decide whether to keep working on their relationship or whether to release it with honesty, integrity, and respect. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So let's say there's a woman watching this right now, and she's having doubts about her relationship.
Right.
What kinds of questions would you ask her?
I would ask her, where are the doubts coming from? Are the doubts about herself in the relationship? Are the doubts about her partner in the relationship? Or are the doubts about the relationship itself? And so really getting clear on what's causing that uncertainty, because doubt is really uncertainty. I don't really know about this. I'm doubting it. I'm questioning it. So what is that uncertainty about? A lot of times it is a lack of communication. And a lot of times that lack of communication is not being clear on what you need to express in the first place. So I would ask her to dive deeper into what that doubt is coming from and then get some clarity on those questions.
Okay, so what I'm kind of getting is that one kind of doubt might be worse than the other. Like if she's doubting herself, that's
Right.
something she can fix.
Absolutely.
If she's doubting him, that might be a little bit more difficult.
Absolutely, because you can't control the other person. However, you can be clear about what you need to communicate in terms of what you need from that person so that they receive your request in a loving, respectful, honest way, and then they get to decide what they want to do with that information.
Right. So your job is to communicate, first of all. If your relationship isn't working and you haven't communicated what's wrong,
right,
that's up to you. And that's something you can do.
Absolutely. And the most important part about that is getting clarity first, because if you just try to communicate from a place of frustration and stress and confusion, it's not going to come out clearly and they're not going to receive it clearly. So the most important thing is to get clear with yourself first, what you need to say, feel confident about what you need to say, and then communicate it.
So that's hard because having a conversation with our partners is not the easiest thing. They're not necessarily open to hear it because all they hear is criticism.
Right.
And the minute they think we're criticizing, they shut down and they don't want to deal with it. So can you give us do we need to get coaching on this? Do we need to practice it before we talk to them? What kinds of tips would you give women who want to have this conversation?
Yes, I think practicing is a great tip. In fact, I do suggest to my clients, when you go to have these difficult conversations, practice with yourself first. If you need to do an outline for it, if you need to have a conversation with yourself in the mirror, whatever you need to do, get really comfortable with the words that you need to say. And yes, these are difficult conversations, but without the difficult conversations, nothing's going to change. And so in terms of them receiving it as criticism, my tip on that is to be very mindful about how you're explaining your needs and make it more about I instead of you're doing this and you're doing that. And if you would just stop doing this, then that would be okay. Make it more of a place of when this happens, I feel disconnected, or I feel misunderstood, or I feel undervalued, whatever it may be. Make it about yourself. And what would help me is if we could talk about a different way to address this. How does that sound to you? So then you're giving them the opportunity to contribute to the conversation as well, instead of just don't, that's it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what if you have a partner though who doesn't like what you're saying,
Right.
and says, I'm not listening to you, and you do this and you do this and you do this, and how dare you come to me with issues when you're the problem, and he walks out. What do you do then? Is this a time when you think about maybe this isn't going to work, or is there another option? Can you do it a different way?
I think the most important thing is to get really clear on what you need to say and to try all the different approaches that you can, so that you've done everything you can within your power before you make a decision to let it go. So say you come to your partner and you're really clear on what you need to say, and you tell them and they're like, not my issue, this is your problem, and they walk away. Of course, that's going to trigger a feeling of rejection or abandonment, or gosh, I totally prepared myself for this conversation and this is the response I get. So recognize that trigger is coming from a place of pain, and recognize that they're in pain too. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to respond. And a lot of men, and I don't like to put every person in a box, but a lot of men, when they don't know how to deal with it, they just walk away. Like, this isn't my problem, this is yours. You're the one making a big deal out of this. I don't have a problem with the relationship. It must be your problem. And then the woman starts to question herself, like, well, maybe that's true. And so if you're really, really clear with yourself first, then when he questions you like that, you're like, you know what, this is his pain. This is his lack of faith in himself to be able to do something about it. So just step away, give it some time, give it some breathing room, see if you can possibly come back with a different approach. And then it's really up to you. There is no one size fits all answers to how long you give it effort or how many conversations you have. It's more about, what does that feel for you? And if you feel like you've done the best that you can and you honestly feel that way, then it's okay to let it go.
Wow. See, that's not what we often get. We often get the message that every single relationship can be saved. And if it can't, you're not working hard enough.
Right.
What would you say to women who believe that they're the reason it's not working, that they haven't figured it out yet?
Yes. So that comes from a place of confusion, when you still feel like, when you let other people say, you're the problem, you're the one that's causing this because you're going to walk away, you're not trying hard enough, you're not fighting for what you believe in, all that good stuff. It's more of, you still don't have that confidence within yourself. So it's about getting that strong connected relationship with yourself and being so clear that you're doing the best you can. You're making a wise decision for your heart. When people say, the relationship has to be saved no matter what, you got to think about, what is that relationship about? And it kind of goes back to that question of, what are you committed to? I believe that we're in this kind of relationship for love. And love includes honesty and respect and integrity. So if you're trying to save a relationship that doesn't have any of that anymore, then what are you truly saving? And what are you actually committed to? If you're committed to a relationship of love, then it needs to be loving. And you can only do your part. If the other person isn't willing to participate, then it's not going to work, because both people have to come together and be willing to participate in that love.
Wow. So what if we have someone who isn't sure and she's feeling like it might be over? What is the smoking gun that tells her, I'm ready now to talk about ending it? Because unfortunately, we can go back and forth on these things. One day it's going great in the relationship. We think, yes, we'll stay. The next day it's terrible and we think we can't fix it. So is there to get that kind of clarity, what do we have to do?
I believe the biggest thing to do for that, to get that clarity, is to come to a place of aligning your head with your heart, because so often it's our head that's saying, I have to make this work. I committed to it. I don't want to be a failure. I don't want people to think I didn't try hard enough. And that's your head, all that mind chatter of what society has taught us. And then your heart is feeling, this relationship doesn't feel loving to me, and it feels dishonorable, and it feels disrespectful, and I feel like I'm abandoning my own self by staying in this, which a lot of us do. I've done it myself. And so the biggest way to get that sense of clarity and peace of mind, it's still difficult, but to get that sense of clarity and peace of mind is to align your head with your heart. So to really examine your thoughts, to examine your beliefs, and is this really true for me? Or is this just because I've been brainwashed by society to think this way? Do I really think that I have to stay in a relationship no matter what? Or is that just because that's what I've been taught? And start really kind of examining and getting through the layers of your patterns and your beliefs and go, you know what? No, that's not true for me anymore. I don't believe that. And then you'll feel this, okay, all right, my head's starting to align with my heart here. This feels, but you'll feel it. You will feel it within yourself. And it will still be a challenge to let it go if that's what you decide to do. But you will feel a peace of mind, and you will feel a resonance and a connection with yourself that just feels right.
Wow, that's lovely. So we've got that piece. Let's say our woman has that peace of mind. She's sure about it, but she's still afraid because breaking up, we can see the freedom in it. Once we break up, we're going to be free to start a new life, but there's a lot of messiness to get through.
Right.
There's what other people think of us because we were the ones who ended it. He didn't. There's all the mess of trying to get our lives disentangled.
Right.
That's scary.
It is scary. It's definitely scary. The fear of the unknown, the uncertainty of how it's going to unfold. At least you know this. It's familiar. And that's the amazing, what I call a paradoxical predicament of human nature, because we want to feel safe, and we feel safe in familiarity. And yet if we're in a relationship and we're not happy in, then we're miserable in a sense, and it affects our whole entire life. And we're not meant to just survive. We're meant to thrive. And so those questions of, you know, what if it's really hard to disentangle, or it's going to be really difficult? You prepare yourself as much as you possibly can, and then you just trust. You just trust that it's going to unfold because you're following your heart. I'm a firm believer when you follow your heart and you let it take the lead, it will lead you to the next step. And you might not be able to figure out everything before you take that first step. You just trust. You just trust yourself. You trust the universe. You just trust that you are going to be led in the right direction. And to stay in a relationship for fear of the uncertainty, you're literally making a choice to hold yourself back. And that's why it's so painful. There's a part of you that's pulling you forward saying, oh, I really want you to experience this better part of you that I know you can have. And then there's the part of you that's, yeah, but what if? And so you have a tug of war with yourself. That's why it's so painful.
Wow. So you actually have developed a program to help women get through this process. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, it's amazing how it came to me, and I won't get into too much detail because it will take some time, but it happened to me when I was going through a should I stay or should I go situation, and I was becoming a life coach at the time, and I was sitting at my desk one day, and literally it just came right through me, the healthy path to love, and healthy is an acronym. And I wrote it all out, and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't wait to share this with my clients. And I thought it was going to be about finding a new love. But I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, this is what I need to do right now to get clarity on this relationship. It was just one of those like, oh my God. And so I went through that process. I journaled about it. And in the end, I was able, it took some time, but in the end, I was able to get that clarity that I talk about. I was able to align my head with my heart and really dive deep into those questions that I needed to ask myself. And then I developed a program, and it took quite a while, but I just typed up kind of my experience of what I went through, the types of questions I asked myself. I've read tons of books over the years. I went through the Heal Your Life coach training, so I was also trained in the type of questions to ask too. And so all these different elements, the mental beliefs and patterns, the getting in touch with your feelings and intuition, the being able to let go of resentment and forgive yourself, all those elements of what make it so turbulent. It's a step-by-step process, literally. And so they go through a module, we jump on the phone and we coach about it. They go through the next module, we jump on the phone and we coach about it. And it's like literally a step-by-step process. It's so beautiful. I love it.
And the benefit of that is that it gives you complete clarity by the end. You don't have to worry for the rest of your life. Did I make the wrong decision by sticking with it? Did I make the wrong decision by leaving? Because you've really examined yourself and you know by then.
Yes, exactly. You have that clarity. And not every woman gets that clarity by the end of the program. It's 4 months, but they grow leaps and bounds and they feel so much better. They feel like they have the tools they need to move forward with more clarity, and their relationships improve within that time. So they might not quite be sure yet, but some women are, absolutely. Even before the end of the 4 months, they're like, okay, I got it. So yeah, it's a beautiful process. It's all about clarity. It's all about clarity. Without that clarity, you won't have the confidence or courage to make a good decision for yourself. If you're confused, if you're stressed, if you're frustrated, if you're resentful, it's almost impossible to come to a clear decision about anything in that space.
Now, for those of you listening, if you want to learn more, we've got a link for you. Just go to yourbrilliance.org/stay-or-go. That's yourbrilliance.org/stay-or-go.
Yes. And I saw that leads to my website, and at the very top, there's a blue banner. You just click on that, and that'll lead you to my program details.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for coming onto the show.
Absolutely.
Do you have any last message you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I just always like to say, follow your heart, be true to your heart, your relationship with yourself, your romantic relationship is one of the most significant relationships in your life, but the relationship with yourself is the most significant. You're going to be with yourself no matter where you go. And if you keep on staying in these struggles, you're going to carry them into the next relationship anyway. So it's about really falling in love with yourself and having that healthy relationship with yourself. Follow your heart.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on the show, Amy. I love what you're doing on this channel. I love it.
Great. Well, and thank you out there so much for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Until then, let your brilliance shine.